We used to think about our career as a path. We go to school, university, and then start working. Year after year, we're getting experience in the area, we're being promoted, climbing the corporate ladder step by step until the moment we retire. Well, this is not how it works anymore. Today we will talk about, well, how does this actually work, together with the concept of career portfolio. Let's go. Now, why does this picture of a linear career progression does not work anymore as well as it used to be? I see two reasons for that. And the first one is, we kind of live longer now. The average length of a human life increased. And not only that, but this time period in our lives where we are productive, the time before retirement basically, is also much longer than 100 years ago. Which means that we practically have more time of doing something, more time of a working, productive life. And although there are people who decide to have a very narrow focus of their professional expertise for their whole life, it also happens. I would not blame a single person who would say, okay, like how much decades of working life? I have like 4 or 5 decades. Maybe I would explore something else, different things during this time. And the second reason is that you can barely find a job occupation that would not change or transform for decades in the modern age world. If we compare our current economy, for example, versus the more factory-based manufacturing production times, we will see that right now things are changing very fast. And it's not just like a new technology tools are introduced to your work that you need to adjust to these tools. The technological advancement transforms the occupations themselves. Some occupations are not needed anymore. There are brand new occupations that are emerging from these new technologies. And it is happening relatively fast. Just imagine, you were studying something and learning a certain job occupation for years and years to find out 5 years later, then it's not needed anymore, and it most likely will not be needed. Of course, there are exceptions, but this is what I observe in many industries nowadays. This part can feel kind of scary because many of us had our parents and grandparents as an example of a very linear career progression, career path. And even the idea that our job may not exist 10 or 20 or I don't know how many years from now can feel kind of uncomfortable. And this is a part of a reality around us that we cannot do anything about. Now, what's the alternative for us then? Let's talk about the concept of career portfolio. Imagine that instead of this linear path, you have more freedom. Freedom to change your career direction throughout your working years and discover what do you like more, what is more fulfilling for you on different stages of your working life. To try different things, different role or different function, or even corporate versus freelance versus entrepreneurship. And from each job and occupation in each stage of your life, you will take your experience, you will take your skills that you developed during this time, and will use it somewhere else along your journey. As, for example, investors are building a portfolio to diversify their risks, you can do the same with your career to be ready for the ever-changing working reality around us. Okay, that sounds wonderful and promising, and like I'm selling something to you. But what does this actually practically mean? I remember reading articles about career portfolio, and in the end I was like, yeah, okay, I get it. What does this actually mean? And here's how I would explain it. Career portfolio is not a set of career tips or a CV template. It's a mindset shift from a linear career progression that normalizes change, exploration, and transferable skills. Here's the thing. It is okay to reinvent your career every 10 years, every 5 years, every how often you like. Sometimes it happens by choice, but sometimes not. You have to move, to leave your comfort zone, or stop working because life happens. Career portfolio as a mindset shift normalizes that. Now, let me explain how does it actually work, give you my example, and give you tips on how can you create yours. When we start looking at our professional experiences holistically, not as a line, but rather as a net, we practically stop limiting ourselves by only one track that we have in front of us. Creating career portfolio helps you to consolidate all of your different skills that you have acquired from different working experiences. And when you do that, you see overlaps between the skills, which also gives you new opportunities. Finally, and this one I think is very important, career portfolio is a concept that helps you explain yourself to others easier. We kind of stop feeling awkward about a career shift or working gap because we tie it all together in a holistic, understandable storyline or narrative. There is a fantastic article on Career Portfolio by April Rin, I hope I pronounced the name correctly, where she says, employers are hungry to hire talent with non-traditional backgrounds, but they often need help. Your portfolio narrative is the link. It is the story you tell to make connections between the skills people are hiring for and the skills you have developed through your experience. Now, if I would give you an example of my career portfolio, it would look something like this. Manager, project manager, specifically tech PM, service and process manager, HR automation expert, people and culture consultant, YouTuber, mentor and trainer, engineer, facilitator, speaker. Each of these identities took some time for me to develop, either through a traditional job or self-employment. And with this more holistic view on my career, if I will be looking for a job, I will not limit myself only by a linear career progression from the point I am right now. Now, how can you create your career portfolio? First, you need to list down all of your experiences, formal and informal ones. And don't limit yourself here, because the idea is for you to include everything where you've created some value. It can be your corporate job, or side hustle, or freelancing, or hobby, or volunteering, anything where you, in one way or another, created value or served others. And if you think that this is hard, just wait for the second one, because for each of your experience, you will need to write what are the skills that you have developed through this experience. What are the competences that you've developed? What are the achievements that you had? This is the first step, and it is the most time consuming, I would say. So dedicate some time to it. Open an Excel sheet, start to list your experiences, start to list the corresponding skills and competencies. Get inspiration. Don't compete with others who are having an interesting career portfolio or progression. Use it as a role models for yourself. The second step is to create map from all of those, or board, or whatever works for you. The idea is you'll have a lot of skills that are either overlapping or repeating themselves, so you can combine it all together, structure and put it either on the map or on the board. By the way, if you Google career portfolio and go to images, you will see very boring templates that, to be honest, I don't think actually capture the concept very well. So here's an example from the article of how can you visualize career portfolio that I really liked. And the third step is, next time you will be making your CV, or you will be thinking about how to tell about yourself on the interview, this map that you've created will be your guiding board for your storyline. By the way, if you think that your career portfolio may include international work at some point, I made a video on the top mistakes we do when relocating. Check it out if you like. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you there.